The series opens on La Palma, one of the beautiful Canary Islands off the coast of Spain. It's a popular tourist destination, known for its stunning scenic views, numerous volcanoes, and breathtaking beaches. Because of this, the island is always bustling with tourists. As usual, a new group of tourists arrives by boat, eager to enjoy everything the island has to offer. One girl casually dives into the water for a swim, nothing unusual, but moments later, she's dead, and no one knows why. Before anyone can understand what's happening, smoke starts rising from the water. Panic sets in as everyone wonders how smoke could possibly be coming from the ocean. They frantically try to turn the boat around, but it's too late. The hull cracks open, and boiling water begins to flood the vessel. Imagine the searing pain from a single drop of hot water. Now, picture the entire ocean boiling around them. In a matter of moments, all the tourists are boiled alive before drowning in a horrific scene. The scene then shifts to a hotel on La Palma, where a couple, Frederick and Jennifer, have arrived with their 2 children, Sarah and Tobias, for their Christmas vacation. This is a special family tradition. They come to La Palma every year to soak in its natural beauty. Because of this, the hotel staff knows them well and gives them a warm welcome. This time, the manager tells them, "Sir, you've become one of our most regular customers. So this year, we've arranged a special upgrade for you at the price of a normal room." They are delighted, thinking that their loyalty has finally paid off. They take the key and head to their special room, which turns out to be amazing. As they're looking around, Sarah finds an earring on the floor. It belongs to the girl who dived off the boat at the beginning of the story. They've been given her room. We then cut to the island's geological institute, where the staff monitors the Earth's subterranean changes, tracking active volcanoes, potential earthquakes, and so on. One of the institute's lead geologists is Marie. They learn about the missing tourist boat from the newspapers, which are reporting it as a tragic accident. However, the head of the institute, a man named Alvaro, suspects it wasn't just an accident. He believes there must be a geological reason behind it, meaning something is changing deep within the island. This could be the start of a catastrophe. To investigate, Marie and Hawker head up a mountain to check on their transmitters. They find a cave where one of their transmitters is located. The one outside is recording data just fine, so they go inside to check the other one. They are shocked to see water dripping from the cave walls, as there's no reason for water to be here. Deeper inside, they find heaps of dead bats. They start to suspect that a major natural shift is underway. They take a sample of the dripping water and use a device to test the air, which reveals dangerously high levels of carbon dioxide and sulfur gas. This is a clear sign that a natural disaster is imminent, likely a volcanic eruption that could trigger a tsunami. Moving further in, they discover a massive crack in the rock. Their transmitter has fallen into it and been crushed. Wondering what could cause such a huge fissure, they head back to the office to report everything to their chief, Alvaro. Marie insists, "I see all the signs of a coming tsunami. We need to warn the people on the island." But Alvaro is hesitant. He says, "We can't just evacuate people without concrete proof and solid data. Everyone will call us crazy if no disaster happens. We need to gather more data to be certain if a catastrophe is actually coming." That's when Hawker tells Marie that similar signs appeared 3 years ago. Back then, they issued a warning without conclusive data and evacuated everyone, but nothing happened. Alvaro is afraid of being ridiculed again. If their warnings are wrong a second time, people will lose all faith in them. They have to be absolutely sure what's happening. Marie sees his point and goes home. On her computer, she runs simulations to see what kind of damage a tsunami would cause if it did hit. Just then, her younger brother, Eric, who is a diver, comes in. He tells her, "It was weird today. While diving, I saw thousands of turtles migrating away from the island. I've never seen anything like that before." Meanwhile, we see Frederick and Jennifer's family having lunch at the hotel restaurant. Their son, Tobias, is neurodivergent. His brain processes things differently from what we'd consider normal. He orders an item from the menu, but when the dish arrives, he compares it to the picture and says, "This looks completely different. I don't want it." Frederick gently coaxes him into eating it. During lunch, Sarah notices a girl named Charlie at another table, who smiles at her. Sarah smiles back. Later, Sarah is sitting by the swimming pool when Charlie comes over. Charlie says, "We're here on vacation too. If you're free, do you want to go to the beach? It'll be fun." Sarah hesitates. She says, "My brother is swimming and he's neurodivergent. I can't really leave him alone." Overhearing this, Frederick steps in. He says, "Hey, you've made a new friend in a new place. You should definitely go to the beach with her. I'll keep an eye on Tobias." So Sarah happily goes off with Charlie. While they're gone, Frederick notices a hotel staff member laughing and chatting animatedly with Jennifer. For some reason, it bothers him, and he starts to wonder if the guy is hitting on his wife. When he turns back to the pool, Tobias is gone. Panic, Frederick starts searching for him. He runs down to the beach where Sarah and Charlie are and asks if they've seen Tobias. Sarah gets scared too, and they both start looking for him. They finally spot him standing on a distant rock, staring out at the sea. When they get to him, they see what he's looking at, a massive group of turtles all migrating away from the island. Back in their room, the same hotel staffer comes to tell Jennifer that he's arranged a great car for their local tour. This fuels Frederick's jealousy even more. After the staffer leaves, he explodes at Jennifer. He yells, "Why was he so friendly with you?" An argument erupts between them, and Tobias and Sarah grow anxious, realizing their parents are fighting again. The scene shifts back to Alvaro, the head of the institute, who is visiting a doctor on the island. The doctor shows him photos of the dead bodies from the boat accident. The doctor explains, "They didn't die from drowning. They died from being burned in boiling water. I can say with certainty that the ocean was boiling at that moment. On top of that, their bodies were full of toxic gases." This shocking new information puts Alvaro on high alert and starts suspecting that a tsunami might really be coming. Elsewhere, Marie and Hawker are testing the water sample from the cave. They discover it has a very low mineral content. Plus, the water was dripping from above, which means the crack they saw must have started from the top of the mountain. To confirm their theory, they go back to the cave, and their suspicion is confirmed. There's a massive fissure running along the top of the mountain. A volcanic eruption or some other natural disaster is definitely on its way. They use a tool to measure the crack. Back at the hotel, Frederick feels a slight vibration, but it stops quickly, so he doesn't think much of it. Meanwhile, Alvaro's own research leads him to the same conclusion. A major disaster is looming. But incredibly, he still doesn't want to issue an official tsunami warning. He decides to only inform the civil guard for now. Up on the mountain, as Marie and Hawker continue their investigation, a huge plume of smoke suddenly starts billowing out of the crack. Knowing it's poisonous gas, they cover their mouths and run. But the smoke spreads so fast that it engulfs everything. In the chaos, Marie spots some tourists who were camping nearby. She yells, "Get out of here now. It's toxic gas. Don't breathe it in. Wet a cloth and cover your nose." After warning them, Marie tries to escape, but the smoke is too thick to see through. She slips and falls. For a moment, she has a dreamlike vision of herself drowning. She jolts awake to find herself in a hospital. Alvaro is there and tells her they rescued her just in time. Hawker, however, inhaled too much gas and is in a coma. 2 of the tourists died. Marie says, frustrated, "See, I told you to issue a warning. Well, now you have your proof, don't you? Inform the mayor immediately." But Alvaro, unbelievably, is still hesitant. He says, "The gas is only in that one area. Maybe it will dissipate on its own. Why cause a panic? Let's just wait a little longer." Marie is furious. She pleads with him, "You know my mother was killed in a tsunami. If a government official like you had announced the warning signs back then, she might still be alive along with so many others. Please don't play with people's lives like this. Inform the authorities." But Alvaro remains stubborn. Frustrated, Marie immediately calls her brother, Eric. He tells her he's in the middle of the ocean, about to go diving. She explains the situation and tells him not to dive and to come home immediately. Eric understands and heads back to shore. Meanwhile, on the beach, Sarah and Charlie are talking. A boy comes over and starts chatting with Charlie. Seeing this, Sarah becomes a bit possessive, and it's here we realize that she's gay and has developed feelings for Charlie. At the same time, Jennifer and Frederick make up and plan to go for a drive up the mountain to enjoy the view. But a man warns them, "Don't go up there. I heard a dangerous gas is leaking, and 2 tourists have already died from it. Besides, your son already got lost once. You should be watching him instead of going up the mountain." This is news to Jennifer. She had no idea Tobias went missing. Back in their room, she confronts Frederick. She demands, "You didn't keep an eye on our son? What were you doing? You know he's not a typical kid and needs special attention. How could you be so irresponsible?" Both are angry and Frederick yells back. During their argument, it becomes painfully clear that Sarah isn't Frederick's biological daughter. Sarah overhears the entire fight. Heartbroken, she runs out and calls her uncle, Jens, who is Jennifer's brother and works for the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She says through tears, "Uncle, I don't want to be on this vacation with them anymore. Please book me a ticket. I want to come back." Jens tries to calm her down. He says, "Honey, it's just for a few more days. All parents fight. Don't take it so seriously. Just try to enjoy your vacation and come back." But this wasn't the response she was hoping for, so she hangs up. Using money she had saved, Sarah buys her own plane ticket and boards the next flight out. Just as she settles in, she gets a text from Charlie that reads, "Sorry, I didn't realize you were so serious about me. That guy wasn't my boyfriend, he's just a friend." The scene cuts to the mayor's office, where Marie and Alvaro are presenting their latest findings. The mayor is also cautious. He asks, if this turns out to be a false alarm, it will cause a huge, unnecessary loss for many people. Tell me honestly, do you really think a tsunami is coming? This time, Alvaro says with full conviction, all of our studies and research point to it. If we don't evacuate people as soon as possible, the consequences will be catastrophic. Back at their office, Marie and Alvaro determine that the disaster will happen in 3 stages. First, the volcano will erupt. Next, a thick cloud of ash will be released. And finally, boiling lava will flow out. They also realize the crack on the mountain is expanding rapidly. Lava could burst out at any moment. Alvaro says, "Quick, inform the airport authorities to ground all flights," but it's too late. The volcano erupts, spewing a dense cloud of black ash into the sky. The tourists on the ground panic. Frederick is frozen with fear, not knowing what to do. Before the warning could reach the airport, the flight with Sarah on it takes off. The plane flies directly into the volcanic ash cloud. The engines catch fire, and the plane crashes. Frederick watches in horror as the burning aircraft plummets from the sky. Just then, his phone rings. It's Jens. He says, "Sarah called me asking for a ticket, but I said no. Please take care of her." It's only then that Frederick and Jennifer realize Sarah isn't with them. A dreadful realization dawning on them. She must have been on that flight. We see the aftermath of the crash, with injured passengers being rushed to the hospital. Frederick and Jennifer go there, desperately searching for Sarah. When they can't find her, Jennifer breaks down, screaming, "Where's my daughter?" Frederick manages to calm her down and lead her outside. Back with the geologists, Marie and Alvaro hold a meeting with the mayor and other high-ranking officials. They finally get permission to order a full evacuation. Alvaro tells his staff, "All of you, take your families and get to safety. I'm staying here to continue my research." Marie understands that he won't leave, so she leaves the institute. She goes home and tries to call Eric, but he doesn't pick up. At the hotel, Frederick and Jennifer check the passenger list from the crashed flight. To their immense relief, Sarah's name isn't on it. She was never on the plane. They rush back to their room, and there she is, sitting safely. They both hug her tightly, overcome with emotion. They promise, "We'll never hurt you like that again, sweetheart. Please, never leave us like that." That night, Sarah is sitting by the pool when Charlie finds her. Sarah tells her, "Your text saved my life. If you hadn't sent that message, I would have been on that plane. I wouldn't have survived." Charlie gets emotional, and right there, the two of them share a kiss. Scene shifts, and we see Marie, who finds out her brother, Eric, is at a local bar, so she heads over to find him. When she gets there, she sees police arresting a young man. In the heat of the moment, she mistakes him for her brother and tries to intervene. The police try to stop her, but she gets into a physical confrontation with them. It's only after the scuffle that she realizes it wasn't Eric at all. Because she interfered with the police, Marie gets arrested. As they're taking her away, she finally spots the real Eric in the crowd. She yells out to him, "Listen to me. Get off this island as soon as you can. A huge disaster is coming." The next morning, Eric goes to the police station to see Marie, who is now locked in a cell. He apologizes, saying, "I'm so sorry. I couldn't call you back or answer your calls. You're in this mess because of me. But don't worry, I'll get you out of here as soon as possible, and then we'll both leave the island together." Meanwhile, in Norway, we see Jens. The foreign ministry calls an urgent meeting where they decide that all Norwegian tourists on the island of La Palma must be evacuated immediately, or they'll be trapped in a massive catastrophe. During this time, Sarah and her girlfriend, Charlie, had become intimate. Sarah decides she can no longer hide this from her parents. She tells her mother, Jennifer, that she's gay and isn't attracted to boys. Jennifer is completely understanding and supportive. Relieved and happy, Sarah goes for a celebratory swim. As Jennifer is sitting by the pool, she gets the urgent call from her brother, Jens, telling her to evacuate La Palma at once. Panicked, she starts frantically packing their things. Sarah goes to tell Charlie about the evacuation, but Charlie isn't where she's supposed to be, so Sarah is unable to inform her. Jennifer's family manages to pack up and get outside, but there are no taxis or cars available. They know they have to get to the docks to find a boat, so in desperation, they steal a car. The owner of the car tries to stop them, but they speed off and eventually reach the coast. As they're boarding an evacuation boat, the owner of the stolen car shows up. He grabs Jennifer's husband, Frederick, and starts beating him up, yelling, "How dare you steal my car?" Frederick urges his family to get on the boat, and they do. The owner refuses to let Frederick go. Desperate, Frederick shoves some money into the man's hand, begging for forgiveness. The man takes the money and releases him. Frederick makes a run for the boat, but it's too late. It has already pulled away from the dock, leaving him stranded. Jennifer tries to get the boat to stop, but it's no use. Meanwhile, Sarah manages to call Charlie and warn her about the impending tsunami, telling her to leave the island. But the mobile signal is extremely weak and the call cuts out midway through. We then cut to the Geological Institute where Alvaro is monitoring the situation on his system. Suddenly, a NO signal message flashes across his screen. None of the transmitters are working. He instantly understands what this means. The tsunami is coming ahead of schedule. He immediately informs the authorities to sound the warning alarms everywhere so people can run for safety. The panic spreads not just through hotels but also to the local hospital, where tourists are in a state of alarm. In the chaos, Hawker, who was in a coma, suddenly wakes up, completely bewildered by the commotion and wondering what on earth is happening. After a long wait, another boat finally arrives at the dock, and Frederick manages to get on. The boat is packed to capacity. Just then, a woman carrying a child arrives, but no one is willing to give up their spot for her. So, Frederick gets off the boat and gives his place to the woman and her child. Back at the police station, Eric is desperately trying to convince the officers to release his sister. He pleads, "It's an emergency. A tsunami is about to hit the island. You have to let my sister go." But even in this crisis, the police stick to the rules, telling him they can't release her because they haven't received any official notice of an emergency. Meanwhile, Hawker arrives at his office at the Geological Institute, where only Alvaro remains. Turns out Alvaro is staying behind on purpose. He believes a disaster of this magnitude is a once-in-a-millennium event, and he doesn't want to miss witnessing it. He figures if he escape, he'll never get a chance to see such a sight again. Hawker, thinking along the same lines, says, "I'll stay here and watch the end with you, but first, let's go on an interesting trip." With that, the two of them start drinking. On the mainland, governments are scrambling to evacuate their citizens, and the tsunami becomes the top story on every international news channel. Jens, watching the news, grows increasingly worried that the tsunami will hit before his sister and her family can get to safety. He begs his superior for help, asking if there's any special way to get his family out. She scolds him, "You shared highly confidential information with your family, and now you expect me to help you? Your family will be rescued the same way as everyone else. Don't expect anything more from me." Jens realizes he'll have to find a way to save Jennifer's family himself. He meets with a man who is an expert researcher on ocean waves and currents. Back on La Palma, Frederick is trapped. He gave up his spot on the last boat and now no more are coming. He sits down, losing all hope, believing it's all over. The La Palma airport has been closed, and the boats are taking tourists to an airport on another island, from where they can fly home. Frederick knows he has no chance of escaping. He calls Jennifer to say a final goodbye to her and the kids. He says, "I love you and the children so much," but the signal dies before he can finish. Just then, the tsunami warning finally reaches the police station. The officers immediately abandon their posts and flee. Eric finds the keys to Marie's cell and lets her out. The other prisoners also take the opportunity to escape. As Marie and Eric run outside, they see the volcano erupting, with lava flowing down the mountain. They flee, and on their way, they find Frederick sitting by the roadside. Eric says, "We have to get off this island now." Frederick replies, "How? The last boat is gone." Eric tells him, "I'm a diver and I have my own boat. Come with us." So Frederick joins them. The three of them reach Eric's boat, but they're confronted by one of the escaped prisoners, who is now holding a gun. He threatens, "Give me the boat or I'll shoot." Eric tries to reason with him, saying, "You can come with us. We can all escape together." But the prisoner, talking on his phone, says, "I have friends coming. You're not coming with us. Just leave the boat and walk away." At this point, Eric loses his temper and attacks the man. In the struggle, Eric is shot. Marie rushes to his side in a panic. Seizing the opportunity, Frederick tackles the prisoner. The prisoner gets a hold of Frederick and tries to drown him in the water, but Frederick manages to grab a rock and hits him with it, killing him. Tragically, Eric dies from his gunshot wound. Marie is heartbroken, but Frederick pulls her toward the boat, knowing they have to escape. Just then, the prisoner's friends arrive. But now Frederick has the prisoner's gun. Seeing him armed, the others hesitate and don't advance. Frederick and Marie manage to get away on the boat. Meanwhile, the researcher tells Jens that there's a specific safe point on the island that will likely be untouched by the tsunami. He says if the remaining survivors can get there, they have a chance. There's no guarantee, but there's at least a 50% chance the tsunami won't affect that spot. Jens takes this information to his superior, sharing the coordinates of the safe point. But she dismisses him, saying, "There's only a 50% chance. We can't spread potential misinformation to the public based on that. Stop this extra research and focus on your job." Elsewhere, we see Alvaro and Hawker again. The interesting trip they mentioned was to put on protective gear and go watch the volcano erupt up close. They climb the volcano and actually enjoy the spectacle of the lava flowing out. We cut back to Jennifer's family and the other evacuees, who have now reached the airport on the neighboring island. They use 4 passports to get 4 boarding wristbands. There, Sarah spots Charlie and is overjoyed to see she is safe. She runs up to her. Charlie doesn't have a wristband, so Sarah gives her Frederick's, assuming her father isn't going to make it. Back on La Palma, waves of lava begin pouring from the volcano, triggering the tsunami. The roar of the massive waves is so loud it can be heard all the way at the new airport. Jennifer and her son, Tobias, board their plane. But just as she sits down, Jennifer realizes Sarah isn't on the plane. She immediately gets off to find her. Unaware of this, Sarah and Charlie board the flight and take their seats. Frederick and Marie are in their small boat when they see the colossal tsunami wave heading straight for them. They know there is no escape. At the same time, Jens decides he has to do something. His superior is in the middle of a live press conference. Jens bursts in, holds up the coordinates of the safe point to the cameras, and pleads, "If anyone is still trapped on La Palma Island, please go to this location. It's a safe place, please." The news spreads like wildfire across all media. The coordinates are forwarded to everyone's phones. The message reaches Jennifer's phone, but the signal cuts out before she can fully understand the coordinates or how to find them on a map. Luckily, her son Tobias is very good with this stuff. He looks at the coordinates and marks a spot on the map, declaring, "This is the safe point." They both start running towards that location. Marie also receives the message and steers the boat with Frederick towards the same point. As the massive tsunami wave is about to crash down on their boat, another giant wave coming from a different direction collides with it. The impact of the 2 waves colliding cancels out their force, and the water becomes calm. They are miraculously saved. On the other side, the tsunami waves slam into La Palma, devastating everything in their path, including the airport where Sarah and Charlie's flight was. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Tobias, along with a few other passengers, had already left the airport in a car. They drive up to a high mountain to the location of the safe point. They abandon the car and run up the rest of the way, where it seems other survivors have also gathered. Frederick is there. When he sees Jennifer and Tobias, he's overwhelmed with joy. The 3 of them embrace and cry, heartbroken and uncertain about what happened to Sarah. Back in the wreckage of the plane, we see Sarah is alive. A few other passengers also survived the crash. She looks for Charlie and finds her unconscious and not breathing. Sarah immediately starts giving her CPR. After a few tense moments, Charlie starts breathing again and regains consciousness. They both survive. They climb out of the wreckage to see the utter devastation around them. The news reports that the tsunami has caused massive damage and that nearly 1,000 people are feared dead. For interrupting the press conference, Jens is fired from his job. But he cares more about his family than his career and is sick with worry, not knowing if Frederick, Jennifer, and the kids survive. Just then, a former colleague approaches him. She says, "Look, those coordinates you shared, they were really a safe point. A lot of people saved their lives by going there. And your sister, Jennifer, she's there too." Hearing this, Jens is flooded with relief. Rescue teams finally reach the safe point on the mountain. Frederick and Jennifer are weeping, convinced that Sarah is gone. Just then, a rescue helicopter arrives, bringing more survivors. Among them is Sarah. Seeing her alive, their family is once again whole, and their joy is immeasurable. But Marie's family, her brother, Eric, was gone. In the final scene, Marie takes her boat out to the middle of the ocean to honor her brother's memory. She puts on diving gear, just like he would have, and dives deep into the sea, taking in the beauty of the world beneath the waves. She remembers what her brother always used to say, "There is nothing that nature cannot give us or teach us, tells us what is going to happen next. Nature itself shows us the signs of coming destruction. If we just pay attention to these signs and understand them, we can protect ourselves from such dangers."